How exactly it's going to work. So for a second, bear with us. Let's get the positions so that Steve can set them. I am of the belief that the most momentous moments of your life are negative moments.
Oh.
And that in those negative moments there are implied moments of great joy. And so the moments that I treasure the most are moments of the worst adversity. Ready, boys? Action!
In the world of cinema, Francis Ford Coppola has come to be known as the survivor. In spite of problems which to some seem insurmountable, he has repeatedly overcome them and has gone on to create new and vital works. For him, the concept of hardship as a shaper of man is foremost. His latest Cotton Club attests to this irrepressibility in its fruition following 6 long years of preparation, over 30 rewritings of the script, and the more than $50 million spent. Here today, we visit Coppola on location for The Outsiders.
Okay. 47. We got to get one last one. We'll have to... Because human being, although it can mean more than just a person of the human, for me it has something more to do with consciousness.
In Coppola's films, we find a recurrent theme of the meaning of man and how he functions within his particular society. The viewer, in turn, is confronted and asked to reassess his or her ideas on this subject. In this interview, we will hear his thoughts on this aspect of his filmmaking.
Francis Coppola represents one of the very energetic person in my mind. His work from the beginning, for example, Godfather, Apocalypse Now, Rumblefish, and even Cotton Club, each of them have such a different style. How different it is, I am very curious. Maybe each time, whatever he's requested in his mind, he tried to express it, and even risking financially and everything that he has. I had opportunity of visiting his working place when he was making Outsider. He literally made elementary school as production team. It was very lucky I could be there and observe how he was making film. And he expressed a great deal about his idea behind.
Tulsa, Oklahoma, was selected as the site for The Outsiders. A part of the oil belt, it provides the backdrop for the confrontations between youth from varying family situations occurring within this substratum of American life in the 1960s. Based on the novel by Susan Hinton, youth and its values and attitudes towards society are depicted. For this production, Coppola rented an entire elementary school, and all operations of the production were linked up to offices in Hollywood. During this interview, we were able to take a look at Coppola's use of latest cinematic technology, an important facet in his filmmaking.
All right, well, you can see, I mean, a little bit what it is.
Yes.
And one of the things that he did is to have made a videotape mock, like a storyboard in videotape of the film, which exists now almost complete.
Oh, I see.
And it's a combination of drawings and illustrations, and then during the rehearsal period when the actors were here, he filmed them against just a plain backdrop.
Oh, I see.
And then the technicians put it all together, and they're working in here constantly, and everything is on video as well as on film.
Oh, I see. That's amazing.
This is what we've shot so far on The Outsiders.
Oh, I see.
These are tapes that we shoot every day, black and white.
Oh, I see.
And then this is, when we get the film back, we copy it onto the video. And we can edit these.
Oh, I see.
In our silver truck.
Ah.
Both film and video are shot simultaneously. After each scene has been recorded, it is assembled and edited on the spot. The result is then shown to the staff and actors, who can make the appropriate changes in later reshootings. In this way, the director has at hand a near-complete visualization of his work, and the actors themselves can evaluate the strength of their performances. By use of computers, script changes and information related to the film are immediately relayed to the office in Los Angeles. The ready availability of electronics at the work site plays an important part in the creative aspect of Coppola's filmmaking.
I will meet Francis Coppola today. This is his chair. He changed the technique and method of motion picture making. He uses not Hollywood, but most of his films is being done on location. For example, this car is called Silverfish. Inside of this, all this new equipment for the video equipment is there. Simultaneously, he will film it together with film. And right in this car, he will edit it. So his technique is quite new. I would like to ask him all his thought and his idea, new vision tonight.
Today's filming begins at night. It involves the death scene in the park fountain. In preparation, the staff are working at full capacity. Coppola's staff include friends from his days at UCLA, as well as family members. His wife is part of the costume staff, his son is in charge of Silverfish, and his father is responsible for the film music. This involvement with friends and family, in a way, lessens the immense burden he carries and consolidates the group's total energy.
Ed, do you always turn the music off?
Huh?
Do you always turn the music off when you're...
No, just when I'm serving, so I can hear, just turn it down low.
Yeah.
There you go, 2 cheeseburgers. What are you going to have?
He has a special interest in young people, the future directors and creative people, and treats them as part of his family. He has established a filmmaking school for children, which trains them in the different facets of filmmaking, including music and drama, as well as the liberal arts. Every day at dusk, during the film's shooting, the staff routinely sets up 2 cameras to photograph that day's setting sun in the hope of catching the ideal setting sun. which in Coppola's mind is best expressed in the poem by Robert Frost. Nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold, her early leafs a flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf, so Eden sank to grief. So dawn goes down to day, nothing gold can stay.
Well, I think I wanted to do a film about youth.
Yes.
The idea of youth being something like a sunset, which when it is its most beautiful is just when it is about to die.
Yes.
And also young people have all the qualities of imagination, of beauty, of health, and as you contemplate a child, you think, you realize that shortly it will have it driven from the child. You know?
Yes.
So I wanted to make a film about young people that took them very seriously and that tried to understand their strong emotions, because young people are very emotional. They are very idealistic.
Aren't these the greasers that tried to pick up our women, huh?
You're right in your territory now. You better watch it.
How? You better watch it. You guys, you know what greasers are? White trash with long, greasy hair. So, what? White trash.
One more. All right, here we go. 65.
What was the fascination? How were you attracted to the movie making?
Well, I was a theater student, and I was interested in writing for the theater and for technical production of theater. And when I was about 17 years old, I saw a movie of Eisenstein, and I just, that day, came out so enthusiastic about this film that I decided, before then I used to think that theater was the legitimate work and that the film was something popular and not as interesting. But when I saw this film of Eisenstein,
Yes.
I made the decision that day that I wanted to direct films.
Oh, I see. Because through film you can reach so many people's heart in a way, like projector. You project something up there, and from projector it goes to people's heart and arouse imagination. Is that it, or how?
Well,
what
from
was
my
the
point of view, I didn't realize that. All I could see was that if a theater is a room in which you can create illusions, you make a theater, you can create illusions. With film, it seemed that there was the potential to go much further, to create anything, to create, make dreams possible for other people to see.
Yes, and especially through the television nowadays, you can reach so many people. I have the impression maybe 16th century, that was the time of Renaissance, but piece of painting can convey that. But maybe late 20th century, this filmmaking or the televisions are the one you can carry Renaissance, don't you think?
I think, in fact, I think it is so certain that now as the film and the techniques of film and the dramaturgy and the methods of getting people's interest and moving them emotionally are combined with the electronic means of video and television, that this work will spread in such a strong way that it will become, in fact, politics. It will be that which unites people and by which they govern themselves.
Yes, and always, I think you have some very new idea about using, editing or the video system combined with the film, and that is something revolutionizing in the movie world. What is your ambition now in the future? How would you like to?
Well, I would like to be able to have a screen and loudspeakers and a text, and I would like to be able to create the film by working more immediately with a few actors and not have to take the enormous months and years to make the film, but rather perform with the actors as you would with musicians, and yet for a week's work be able to make a whole beautiful movie. And I think through the inroads made in the field of video by NHK, by Sony, by many companies, Matsushita, Ikegami, and others, that although they don't realize it, because they are making products for not NHK, but they're making products to sell. But if I take all their products and I hook them up in ways that they didn't know you could hook them up, we are reaching the point where we'll be able to have a cinema organ. It's almost like an organ, except when you play it, you'll have a movie come out instead of just sounds.
So, when was the most moving moment in your life, looking back? Momentous moment, can I put it this way?
I am of the belief that the most momentous moments of your life are negative moments. And that in those negative moments there are implied moments of great joy. And so the moments that I treasure the most are moments of the worst adversity. That I somehow feel that in those moments, because you triumph over them or you continue to live with them, that you come away better and changed and more on a higher level of evolution, and so I treasure those moments.
That's wonderful. For example, when was it in your life?
One particular, I think, a moment in the middle of Apocalypse Now, when everything went wrong and everything was in ruin, and then to top it off, the actor Marcin had a heart attack, and it just seemed as though there could be nothing any worse. And then to be able to survive and to be lifted to another level of understanding, because you go through these terrible things and you realize they're not so terrible, that you spend your life being frightened of certain things, and then when they happen you said, well, that's not so bad.
Mentally, what did you do then to overcome that?
I don't know that I was capable of doing anything. I was so exhausted and with so much difficulty, but somehow I was able to review my idea of myself, and when all the troubles had blown away, which they always do, I was standing on a higher point of view than I had before. And I think that is true about people who go through difficulty in war or personal tragedy, that the thing about tragedy is that somehow it makes us greater.
So maybe you take this life as sort of the study place, the classroom, like for human being, for each soul to develop.
I do view my life. I don't live my life to be successful or to be handsome or to have a nice car or to have a success or fame. I live my life to know more, to understand more, to learn more. To learn and understand, you have to go through good and bad. A good moment for me, since you asked, I liked it when I went to the birth of my third child, and I was shooting The Godfather, and I had this idea that in my family you always have boys, and it was a big moment when they told me it was a girl.
Yes, I saw, that she was writing on the blackboard, Del Perez at work and all this, I am Sophia. That was so cute that she was running in and out of your working place. That really gave me a wonderful feeling that your family are very close, children.
But not only just my children. We always, when we make a film, we always have children. We invite apprentices, children who are 13 and 14. And we, right here, there are 20 apprentices that we allow them to come very close, and we show them movies, and because I believe that it's my responsibility to encourage young people to go into the profession of communications, because communications is the hope of the future.
Yes, of course. Since your childhood, how your father influenced you? What do you think of your father?
Well, my father influenced me, number one, by giving me a love of music, because I heard music, good music, all my life. He influenced me because he was involved in the theater, in musical theater, and as a young person I had the opportunity to watch and to observe professional theater and to say, oh, I want to do that, when you're... so I had the opportunity to observe professional theater and know that I would, just like if my father were a farmer, I probably would be inspired to be a farmer.
And somehow I have the feeling, through movie, you could reach people's heart to tell life can be beautiful if one knows how to live it. For example, this kind of theme, Renaissance of Humanity.
There is much of that in this movie, The Outsiders, because it is a tragedy for children. It is not just a silly story or a comedy about teenagers. It is a real a tragedy involving death and heartbreak of boys. You don't think of boys 14, 15 who are tough boys. You don't think of them feeling emotion like that, but of course they do. Especially those years of 13, 14, 15 are the most emotional times probably we go through, and yet very rarely does a film try to show that. Although this film is a little bit of a parable. It's a little bit like Hansel and Gretel, or the Mark Twain stories of Tom Sawyer. It is it's very warm, and although it has tragedy, I believe it will end in a way that will make young people feel good.
Waiters. We have waiters? Yeah.
Just waiters.
Just waiters.
Well, what I want is basically...
Well, no, I mean, how many times? Up and back, right?
It's going to be, I would say, about 3 go in and out.
Coppola has said that young people's desire to be part of a group is directly responsible for the decisions he makes. The camaraderie and personal affection derived from being a member of the group, which can best express those young people's own individualism. Despite their poverty and the pessimism of their situation, these young people exude a purity and energy for life. And this is what becomes the beauty of life. This is what Coppola attempts to express in The Outsiders.
What human being means to you?
What does human being mean to me? to me, I guess it means a being with a consciousness. Because human being, although it can mean more than just a person of the human, for me it has something more to do with consciousness, with empathy. I could feel something for that fan. I can imagine feeling. We all have lived in a house that we loved. But of course, it has no consciousness. And when there is consciousness, then it's something that I would call human.
I remember very vividly when I was observing that location. One of the staff just told me, it is very sad. Today, his studio was sold because of the loan he had to have for this movie. At the time of interview, he said, the only time that I feel I can learn something is when I am really chased to the corner and having hardship to live through. And only then I somehow feel one stage up I could live after that experience. And he literally living that kind of life through his movie making. What an impressive person he is. I was very, very happy that I could see him during that kind of work that he was carrying.